Hey, what's up, guys? Alex with the RSL Show here. We're getting ready to start our IG Live. Today we have a very special guest in the Russell Lake Ironman from last year in Zac MacMath. He'll be joining us here shortly on Instagram to do our next IG Live interview. Remember that we are trying to do this every week. We'll be having a player on here to kind of talk, have a little get to know you here on our IG Live story. And remember to head over to our YouTube and subscribe. This will be posted on YouTube afterwards. Make sure to head over to our socials, IG, Instagram, give us a follow. And then Zac MacMath is here with us. Zac, can you hear us?
Yes, all loud and clear.
Hey, perfect. Thanks for coming on to the RSL Show, man. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us. Again, we're just trying to do this every week to get the fans a little chance to get to know you guys better, get to know kind of the team a little bit better. And so, yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Hey, so we'll start real quick by kind of giving an overview of who is Zac MacMath. Like, what are some characteristics that you would describe or use to describe yourself as a player, man?
I think at this point in my career, I've got a lot of experience. I've been on a few teams now, played with a lot of players, played under a lot of coaches. So I try to use that experience to my advantage on and off the field, and really just try to put myself in the best position possible to help the team. Whether that's on the field or off the field.
Perfect. And what would be some characteristics that would use to describe yourself as a person?
I'm a family man. I've got two young kids, so I spend a lot of time playing with them, and I enjoy hanging out with my teammates and really just hanging out with the family.
Perfect. And so let's take it back to the very beginning. How young were you when you started to play soccer?
I started pretty young, 3 or 4 years old. I know my dad's got some pictures back home of me playing, those small nets, 4v4, 5v5 at a very young age, and played other sports growing up, but soccer was always kind of the sport for me, and I found other sports a little bit boring, so I kind of stuck to soccer 7 days a week as much as possible.
Awesome. What other sports did you play then, besides soccer?
Yeah, I played baseball and basketball a little bit. Baseball probably a little bit more, but yeah, my dad played soccer growing up, so that was kind of our sport of choice.
Awesome, man. So you grew up in Florida. You went to IMG Academy, and so for those of you who don't know, IMG Academy it has a big pedigree. It's created players like Landon Donovan, Joszy Altidore, even Kyle Beckerman, RSL legend. So what's kind of the experience like? How do you like the opportunity to attend IMG Academy?
Yeah, it was actually probably easier for me. I only lived about a half hour from there, so it was easy to see my family and my parents, which is different from other kids, coming from the West Coast or, all across the country. So that part was good, but it was amazing. At that age, I was in love with, learning the game, being around the best players, and we went to school together. We shared rooms together. We ate together. We did everything together. So just being around 40 of the best players in the country at that time was great for my, development as a person and as a player.
And who are some of those guys that was there with you at that same time that you were at IMG that you can remember?
Yeah, in my age group, actually, Scotty Caldwell was there with me. Omobi Akugo, Kofi Sarkodie, Josh Lambo, recently retired kicker. So we had some pretty good players that Zarek Valentine, who's still playing for Minnesota. So we had some pretty good players that are still around.
Perfect, man. And so does that kind of give you the platform of going to a place like IMG Academy to later look and commit at going to a place like Maryland?
Yeah, I kind of was ready to turn pro out of IMG and went on a couple different trials over in Europe. And after experiencing that and the age I was at, this opportunity to go to Maryland came up, and I thought it was a better opportunity to kind of grow and learn as a person. And I'm very thankful I made that decision because it really helped me grow up. Unlike, some of these younger kids who are now just going straight into the professional ranks, I think some of them maybe need a little bit of time in college to grow up as a person.
And so kind of taking that transition, I mean, your freshman year, you go in, You get the start right off the bat. You're playing with Maryland, and you guys go on and win the national championship with guys like Graham Zusi and Omar Gonzalez, who are also currently still in the league. Talk to us a little bit about just that, your freshman year going on and winning that national championship.
Yeah, our team was stacked. Honestly, they made it very easy for me. I didn't have a whole lot to do. I was obviously had a lot of good seniors, juniors, guys that are a bit older than me to help me along the way. And yeah, just a very cool experience to, feel that pressure so early on in my career.
So your senior and your junior year at Maryland, you're considered one of the top goalkeepers in the nation. You're considered one of the top prospects coming out of college. All while that's happening, like you said, you're going on. You're having trials in Europe. You're going to Everton with the Premier League. You're with the youth national team. So talk to us a little bit about that experience of going overseas and going with the national team to play.
Yeah, through some very close relationships, I had the opportunity to go to Everton, and not so much as a trial, but just as an experience, like you see a lot of the younger players still do today. Just seeing what it's like in Europe, going to games, playing with kids of a similar level in a different country, was just a cool experience that I continue to learn from growing up at a very early age.
Awesome, man. And so from there, like, at what point did you kind of look at your career and decide to forego your senior year and go to the draft? What kind of led to that decision?
Yeah, speaking with my coach at Maryland, Sasho, and my dad, and a couple of the agents that we were speaking to, it just seemed like it was the right opportunity, through Generation Adidas to enter the draft and forego that last year of college. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to be able to do that, and thankfully I've had a decently long career so far.
Awesome, man. And so just going back to the draft night, tell us a little bit about the emotions and the feelings that you felt once you heard your name be called up in the 2011 Super Draft.
Yeah, being called by Philadelphia, where my dad grew up, was a pretty cool, special feeling for both of us. I had a little bit of an inkling that they were going to take me at the fifth pick, and being surrounded by my family and the supporters of Philly, the Sons of Ben, was a pretty cool experience and something I won't ever forget.
And I'm glad you mentioned number 5 pick because it's not really that common for a goalkeeper to get picked that high. So what kind of do you have, like, a sense of pride, I guess, a sense of like accomplishment or even confidence getting picked that early and that high as a goalkeeper?
Yeah, I felt very happy and confident that I could make a difference. I knew as soon as they picked me that I wasn't going to be the starter the next year, that I was going to have to take some time to learn, and thankfully did play a decent amount. I played 8 games, I think, my rookie year, and that really helped me build even more confidence going into my second year.
Beautiful. And that's actually leading into the next question. At your first year at Philly, obviously, like you mentioned, you're not heading in as the number 1. You're going to be backing up Colombian Mondragon for a little bit. But is there a sense of, like, anxiousness, or I guess a sense of, like, nervousness as to when that professional debut is going to come? Or is it just head down, focus, and hard work every day?
Yeah, back then, I just remember there wasn't a lot of pressure or nervousness. I was kind of just a young kid, just trying to soak it all in and waiting for my opportunity. And thankfully, unthankfully, Fareed got hurt and gave me an opportunity to play here actually against Salt Lake, and just get a little, dip my toes in a little bit before going into my second year.
Awesome. And it's kind of funny how life works sometimes because, like you mentioned, your debut was here at Rio Tinto Stadium. So looking back now, at that moment, just going in there and playing your first minutes, especially here, now that you're with Real Salt Lake, like, looking back, do you think, I don't know, I guess it's maybe a coincidence, just like a coincidence, or like, how do you reflect on your debut being here?
Yeah, it's the soccer world. It's so crazy how everything kind of relates to each other and all comes around. So I just think of it as one of those moments where maybe I was meant to end up here in Salt Lake, and obviously happy to get that debut.
Awesome, man. And so you're for the next 3 years, you're the Philly starter. What kind of aspects of your game did Philadelphia help you grow in during those 3 years?
I think just getting the experience. I was still a very young player, and they gave me an opportunity to keep playing even through mistakes and shortcomings. So just having that experience of catching up to the game speed, playing against top players, top teams around the league was just very valuable to get that many games in so early on in my career.
So yeah, so like you mentioned in the 2014 season, they get Andre Blake in the first round, and Boldy comes in from overseas, but you still continue to be number one in that final season at Philly. Is there a sense again? Is there a sense of like nervousness or anxiousness, knowing that there's that change in the goalkeeper room, or were you pretty confident in yourself that you could keep that number one spot?
Yeah, I was pretty confident that I could keep the spot for as long as I did. I obviously saw the writing on the wall with Andre, and then obviously with Raiz, and I really just kind of went out there and played with no fear because I had nothing to lose. I was going to be replaced eventually, and just trying to take as much opportunity as I could.
So in 2015, you're loaned out to Colorado, and you go and you're kind of the second string to Clint Irwin, I believe, right? And
Yep.
so what's kind of that experience? What's kind of that journey starting getting loaned out to Colorado that next year?
Yeah, I was looking forward to the opportunity in Colorado, but unfortunately, our first game was against Philadelphia, I believe, and I couldn't play against Philadelphia because I was on loan. And Clint went on to have a pretty good start to the season with a few shutouts, and he, rightfully so, got to play most of that season. So then it was kind of just a learning curve of kind of taking on that backup role and trying to stay ready. And when I did get that opportunity that year, I think I showed Coach Pablo at the time that I was good enough to be a starter.
And then so in 2016, you make the move official. You officially head over to Colorado. You're no longer on loan. But Clint Irwin's traded post the season starting, and then the announcement that Tim Howard's coming in is also made in that preseason. What's kind of your mentality heading into that 2016 season? Are you ready to fight for that number one spot, or like how are you feeling in that moment?
Yeah, that was a tough couple of weeks. Just being really named the starter, and then obviously the news that Timmy was going to be coming in the summer. But similarly to when my last year in Philly, it was one of those just go out, play as well as you want, as well as I can. And they told me, I think it was July 4th. He's going to play July 4th. That's his first game available. So just go and do your thing. And I thought I did really well that first half of the season and helped put the team in a good playoff spot. And obviously Timmy came in and did a great job keeping that up.
What was that experience like? What was it like working alongside Tim Howard and being in Colorado with Tim Howard?
Yeah, obviously, like you said earlier, I've kind of worked with him a bit while at Everton, and he was still in with the national team. So it's just a kind of surreal experience having him as a teammate, learning from him, seeing how he is day in, day out, and all the hard work that he put into his craft. So that's kind of mostly what I picked up. And obviously, he's still a good friend for me these days that I can lean on at any time. And I just appreciate, being able to play with him for a couple of years.
Awesome, man. So while you're at Colorado, what are kind of like the things that you've learned about yourself as a player and as a person, especially through kind of those circumstances where there's that uncertainty, right? Whether you're going to be the first or if you're going to be the second to Tim.
Yeah, just kind of you really kind of figuring out how to get better each day. Whether you're playing or you're not playing, you have to get better. You can't just kind of sit on the sidelines and hope that you're going to get a chance and that all of a sudden it's going to be, roses out there. So finding ways to get better, to develop my game. I think I developed a lot with my distribution those couple of years, really working on that through training and obviously getting the few games that I did, just trying to stay sharp and continue strong.
Awesome. And like you mentioned, Pablo was the man in charge over Colorado at that time. What's kind of maybe your relationship with Pablo then compared to how it is now? Like, what are the similarities? What are the differences between that relationship?
Yeah, I think Pablo was, obviously a very new coach at that point and was juggling a lot just like he is now. But I think he's got a lot more experience with, managing, front office, managing players, managing all the outside stuff that head coaches have to deal with. So just seeing that maturity from his, in him, it was pretty cool to see, as he came to Salt Lake.
Awesome. And so now looking forward to 2019, you get traded to Vancouver. When a player is traded, and I guess maybe each case is different, but in your case, do you have much of a say in that trade? Do you have much of a say of where you're going to go or anything like that?
I was completely shocked to get traded to Vancouver. I received a phone call pretty early on in in the off season, and I was just had a newborn son. Just got married the year before, so it was a very crazy few months getting traded there.
Well, how was your time there? Like, talk to us a little bit of the experience. It was you and Crepeau in that goalkeeper room. So how would you just describe your time in Montreal, or excuse me, Vancouver?
Yeah, it was good. Pretty big learning curve. We brought in a lot of new players that year, so I think it was very hard for everyone to kind of gel together in such a short period of time. But I enjoyed, learning under Youssef, the goalkeeper coach at the time. He had a very different style than I was used to. So again, trying to broaden my experience and my attributes as a goalkeeper. So I enjoyed that part of it. And obviously Vancouver is a beautiful city. So, we'll always kind of have a connection with Vancouver.
Awesome, man. And so now looking at the next year, you're only there for a year. 2020, you get traded to RSL. 2020 is such a weird, crazy year for everybody. I'm sure you guys weren't expecting it as players. I'm sure, none of us as fans were expecting it. But what's kind of, I guess, as a player, what's kind of the feelings just going into a season with such uncertainty and such a different feeling because of COVID?
Yeah. Going into the season, we had a very good team. I was, probably one of the better teams I played on personally, and was really excited to get here. And I know playing in Utah, playing in Salt Lake was a very tough task. And I was very excited, and obviously got derailed there. But yeah, very tough year, for me personally, on the field, getting dropped after the MLS is Back tournament. And then it was kind of like I said earlier, just trying to find a way to grind away and stay sharp for the team and try to help out wherever I could.
So then looking into that 2021 season, you're in that goalkeeping room with David Ochoa, with Andrew Putna. Were you initially brought in to be that number two, or were you always just kind of wanted to fight for that competition, wanted to fight for that spot too here at RSL?
Yeah, in 2020, I had the idea. I think that they wanted me to be the number one, and knowing that David Ochoa was kind of in the wings. And in 2021, I knew going into the preseason that it was my job to help really David Ochoa blossom into what he did that year. And I kind of took that responsibility to, be a mentor towards him and the rest of the team.
Awesome. And so now you go like full transition. You go from 7 appearances in 2021 to that Ironman status you had last year. Was that something you were expecting going into the 2022 season?
Nothing is expected in this career.
Yeah.
David went down in the last preseason game. It was hard to tell how serious of an injury it was, and similar to my, that second year in Colorado, Pablo says, "Hey, go out and play. David's probably going to come back and need to play, but go out, go show your skill, not just for you, but for everyone else to see." And obviously had a very strong start to the season with the team, and was thankful enough to keep that going throughout the whole year.
And so you break a lot of personal records. You break a lot of your own personal career records last year. Do you think that last season, that 2022 season, do you think it's almost like a little bit of a revival for you? Like, how are you feeling now heading into this young but 2023 season?
Yeah, it was a revival. It ended kind of painfully. I needed surgery after the season, so that was kind of tough to kind of get back in. But it gave me that confidence that I can be a number one in this league and help a team make the playoffs, and being that close to advancing in the playoffs.
Awesome, man. And so just kind of reflecting at your overall time here in Salt Lake, what's kind of been the highlight of your time here in Utah?
I'd say, that last home game against Portland last year, kind of securing that playoff berth in really such a good fashion, a dominating fashion after obviously a tough stretch that we had at the end of last year. So, kind of that relief and of, proving that I can go a whole season and help the team to the playoffs. And then I think, we had a very good showing against Austin in very difficult circumstances.
Absolutely, man. And what's kind of been the part you enjoyed most about being here in Salt Lake?
The locker room. I've enjoyed the teammates. We've had a pretty good group core, or pretty good core group of players, and getting to know, the Marcelos, the Amirs, the Justin Mirams, and then, we kind of have this younger wave, the Justin Glads, Andrew Brody's, and now we've got an even younger wave, and just kind of seeing these different age groups of players from all, across the world, and seeing how we gel and really come together to play on the weekends is something special.
Yeah, man. And so with the goalkeeper room that you guys have now, obviously Gavin Beavers, Blake Kelly, Fernando Delgado is also on the wings waiting to come up. Obviously, you see yourself as a mentor to them, but is there more so of a mentorship and a leadership to other players on the team as well? Since you've been around to, like you said, so many cities and so many places, and so many teams.
Yeah, I try to not only help the goalkeepers, but try to help all the other younger players, the Diego Lunas, the Axel Kais, and even some of the older players who are going through, not playing injuries, this and that. There's a lot of different elements of, each player's career, and just being an ear for them, trying to help them, and lend my experience to them as they go forward in their career.
Awesome. And what would you kind of say your relationship right now is with Gavin Beavers? Obviously, Gavin just started a couple of weeks ago. He got his debut at 17. What's kind of your relationship with Gavin at the moment?
It's very good. Kind of watching him blossom over the last couple of years has been pretty incredible. He's a very raw talent that is still trying to figure out his big 6'5" frame, and just helping him relax and enjoy and continue to learn, because the next 4 to 5 years for him are very important, and continuing to develop, and not just kind of stand still in his career, and really try to catapult him to where he wants to go.
And what kind of similarities and differences, I guess, do you see in your relationship with Gavin compared to the one you had with David Ochoa, who was a young goalkeeper too, coming up? How do you compare that relationship, right?
Yeah, I think as many of our fans know, that David had a very big personality. He didn't need to be, babied or really, pushed in certain ways. He kind of could do that on his own, and then you kind of try to reel him back in sometimes. Whereas Gavin, I think, has a very good personality. He's very personable, can hang out with the guys and everything like that, and he just needs to continue to be pushed, in the goalkeeping sense, and hopefully he continues to take that on.
Awesome, man. And so since you've joined RSL, like you guys have been through a lot. Obviously, 2020 was COVID. There was the new ownership, all the changes that have been in the club since 2020. It, a lot has happened in the last 3 years. So how do you feel about the trajectory of just RSL and this club, man?
Yeah, I think since new ownership has come in, they've got a lot of different, adding stability to the club, and hopefully stability over a couple of years' time, unlike the last couple of years, will be good, not just for the players, but for the fans and the community, and the direction that they want to take the club.
Awesome, man. And again, I just want to thank you for your time. I have a couple more and then we'll quickly wrap this up. Is there a specific moment in your career that you can kind of pinpoint and maybe say that's the moment you fell in love with soccer?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. Probably sometime in my young career when I was 13 or 14, going to IMG Academy and kind of comparing myself to other goalkeepers at that age, and kind of measuring up, I should say, and seeing that and realizing that I belong, and not that I just belong, but that I can compete. That's kind of when I kind of took this attitude of, I want to be a professional player. I want to make this a career.
It's beautiful, man. I love it. Reflecting, yeah, you just kind of answered that question already. So perfect. What are maybe some of the goals you have for yourself at this point in your career? Obviously, you're 31. You're kind of heading into what a lot of players say is the tail end of your career. What are kind of the goals that you want to see for yourself as you head into this next stage?
Yeah, continue what I established last year, and continuing to help this team. I think, doing my job, but also helping others do their job, making the playoffs, making this team competitive for as long as I'm here is the most important goal for me.
Awesome. And where do you kind of see yourself in? Obviously, you just signed a contract extension till 2024 with an option for 2025, but where do you see yourself in about 5 years' time?
Hopefully, still playing. It's only 36, so that's not too bad in goalkeeper years. But if I'm not still playing, I want to be involved in soccer in some capacity, as a coach or in the front office. And hopefully, I don't have to cross that bridge anytime soon. But I would like that, that kind of trajectory.
Beautiful, man. We'd obviously love you to be here as long as you can. A lot of the fan base loves you. But what kind of legacy do you hope to leave here at RSL?
Someone that was dependable, someone that teammates could rely on, that coaches could rely on, that fans could rely on, and someone that really helped the community as much as possible. I love helping the community, help the young fans grow into be their, if they want to be professional soccer players, and trying to just build a legacy of a good person, a good guy that people really like to be around.
Maybe what's kind of, I don't want to say hard, but like what's tougher, being a professional soccer player or being a dad? Because we see family, your pictures of your family all the time. We love seeing them. So I don't want to say harder because that's probably not the right word, but I guess yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. What's more tiring? I think being a
Yeah,
dad
there you
is
go.
probably
There you go.
more tiring. But both are fulfilling. Seeing my kids and how they've grown up over the last couple of years so far has been incredible, and I'm excited to see that growth in them and continuing to grow as a father and as a husband, and it's all very exciting. So
Beautiful, man. And are they enjoying their time here in Salt Lake City?
not the last couple of months. It's been a little cold for us,
That's
but
true.
hopefully the sun can continue to come out over the next few months, and we can get outdoors and continue to enjoy beautiful Utah.
Awesome, man. And I guess the last question I have for you is, like, do you have any last words, any last things you want to say for the fans before we hop off here?
No, I just appreciate all the support that they provide to the team. I think obviously over the last couple of weeks it's been tough, but hopefully we're starting to turn the page here and can really get some good results. And we've got a lot of good home games coming up, so we're going to need all the support we can get.
Awesome, Zach. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for joining us here on the RSL Show. Yeah, you're good to jump off. I'm just going to say the last couple things here to them, but thank you again for joining us.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
Hey, you too, man. Thank you. Again, guys, that was Zac MacMath, starting goalkeeper for RSL Lake, last year's Ironman. Want to thank him again for joining us. Again, we're just gonna try to continue to do this as a weekly thing for you guys. We're gonna have a player on, have a conversation, just similar to that, like we saw with Emeka 2 weeks ago, and just what we saw with Zac MacMath. It'll be posted on YouTube and on IG right after the live finishes. So just make sure to go follow us on our YouTube. Make sure to go follow our IG. Again, Intern Alex, thank you for watching the RSL Show on the KSL Sports Network, and we'll see you next time. Oh, and make sure to go check out our interview with the Rockalypse later, because that one is going to be fun. So, yeah, keep it here for the best RSL content.